look what's happened to us since the President of the United States said those words. Fundamentally transform the United States of America. We're 5 days away again. The exact same spot 4 years later. We will fundamentally transform back to our values, our traditions, and our principles upon which this nation was founded. And I'm not saying we're going to go back to George Bush. I don't want to go back to George Bush. I don't think you want to go back to George Bush. But that's the choice in 5 days. To go back to something that makes sense, real transparency, real change, the truth, not a bunch of these cronies in Washington, not a bunch of bogus facts and bogus jobs where we all know it's not true, but closer to the way we were on 9/11, after the attack, closer to the way we were on 9/12, to where we all started to break through our fear, and we just did the right thing, Republican and Democrat. We going to go there, or will Barack Obama finish the job he started and close the book on what we have always known and the world has always known as the United States of America? One that never gives up, one that never sits down, one that never says, I don't know, I'm too tired, I don't know, we're just an oppressor nation. Are we going to believe the lies that have been told to us? Because that is the choice. And I know that seems radical, at least it did 4 years ago when we were saying it, but I think we've made a very good case. And the easiest way to make this case is just to paraphrase President Obama. Let me be clear, as I've said in the past, judge me by the people I associate with.
Who I associate with. On economic policy, I associate with Warren Buffett and former Fed Chairman Paul Volcker. If I'm interested in figuring out my foreign policy, I associate myself with my running mate Joe Biden or with Dick Lugar, the Republican ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, or General Jim Jones, the former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO.
Before debating health care, I talked to Andy Stern and SEIU members. Before immigration debates took place in Washington, I talked with Alcia Medina and SEIU members.
You notice that there is a difference between the president, the way he is even speaking, because the way the man wears a mask. He will say one thing to one audience and another thing to another audience. And when he's speaking to mainstream America, he sounds just like you. But when he's speaking to radicals and labor unions and revolutionaries, all of a sudden he's got a whole different sound to him. Because the president is a fraud. Who does he associate with? Radical, revolutionary, communist Van Jones. Marxist professors. Radical, anti-Israel buddy Rashid Khalidi. Marxist spiritual advisors Jim Wallace, Jeremiah Wright. You know the list, and it is excruciatingly long. And yet today we have another one that we were told to dismiss. The civil rights icon, the man who delivered the benediction prayer at Obama's inauguration, Joseph Lowery, a man who gave a prayer that day that we all said, now wait a minute. But everyone told us, dismiss it.
We ask you to help us work for that day when black will not be asked to get back, when brown can stick around, when yellow will be mellow, when the red man can get ahead, man, and when white will embrace what is right.
When white,
let all those who do justice and love mercy say amen.
When white will do right. We were told he's just a quaint little old man, and sure, he's living in the past, because I haven't grown up in this world that President Obama keeps saying that we are in. One of the most controversial prayers at any inauguration, ever. And we were told dismiss it. And it's very clear from this that he doesn't believe that whites have ever or could do what's right. But this past weekend, it rears its ugly head again. Racism again. Lowry said that when he was a young militant, he believed that all whites were going to hell. Then he mellowed with age and decided only most of whites were going to hell. There's your mellowing, according to this radical. That the president chose as the person to give the benediction, to bring us all together. Who did he choose? Someone who said, well, I used to believe all whites go to hell. Now I only believe that most whites go to hell. Does this sound like your pastor, your priest, your rabbi, or does this sound more like Louis Farrakhan and Jeremiah Wright? Now, he's amended this again. He told a rally at St. James Baptist Church in Georgia. He's back where he started. He's back to saying, you know what? I now believe that all whites are going to hell. Now, I understand people tell me that he was a valiant warrior in a just cause. He may have been a warrior in a just cause. But I'm sorry, if you were a warrior in that just cause and you believe that all whites were going to hell, you were not a valiant warrior. That's not Abraham Lincoln. That's not Martin Luther King. That's not Gandhi. That's not Jesus. I don't know who that is, but that's not valiant. And let's be clear about that. Just because you're for freeways, and one of the greatest advocates of freeway systems was Adolf Hitler, doesn't make him a strong, valiant advocate for the international highway system. It goes without saying that if it were a clergyman that Romney had invited to pray to one of his events, and that man later said all blacks are going to hell, the outcry would be vicious and deafening as it should be. It would cost Romney the election. And there would be no question of age. Do you remember Jesse Helms? There would be no question of, well, he's just an old man. He's just no questions asked. It would be over. This is why Romney is going to win. Because there's enough Americans that are tired of the double standard. And they won't accept it from Mitt Romney either. If Mitt Romney gets in and he has the double standard and he says, well, hold me to a different standard, which I've never seen him do before, Americans won't put up with it. We're tired of it. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of the deceit. We're tired of the double standard. We're tired of being told and taught that we're something that we're not. Now, our children are being taught this in school. And we better grab onto our children. We better grab onto them fast. It was Karl Marx that said, you give me one generation and I'll change the world. They almost have that generation wholly purchased now. And it's been done through our indoctrination of our school systems and through our television, through our movies. And it's got to stop, and we've got to stop it right now. And that doesn't mean we have to round people up or have hearings or anything else. Get your kids out of school. You find a different way to educate your children. You stop giving your hard-earned dollars and your hard-earned time to those media corporations that are lying to you, that are teaching and filling your kids' heads with lies and deceit. How many of us even trust Disney anymore? Everybody was so excited about, oh, Walt Disney, they just did Star Wars. Great. Do you trust Disney? Because I don't. I don't ever sit my kids in front of the Disney Channel and think, okay, they're safe. Not even for a second. I don't like my kids watching the Disney Channel. Believe me, I've worked for Disney ABC. I know how that game is played. I have good reason not to trust Disney ABC. And so do you, because you've seen it. Reason why Mitt Romney is going to win is because I've seen what happened with Chick-fil-A, and there wasn't a single labor union bus involved in that. That was just moms and dads and people who go to church together and people who are just regular people who said enough is enough. They may not even have agreed with the guy at Chick-fil-A, but they knew he had a right to say it, and they were sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of it. I am sick and tired of being told what the white man is. I am sick and tired of being told what this country is and is not. By people who have no idea what this country is and is not. They don't even have any idea what this country was at any given time. They can't tell you about Abraham Lincoln's real feelings. They can't tell you about George Washington and his real feelings. They can't put it into any historic context at all. They live in a bogus, plastic, Eurocentric world. And most Americans do not. Most Americans are not radical. Most Americans are good, decent, honest people who are now being told you didn't create that. You didn't build that. You're no different than every other country. Then why? Then why have we been so different? Well, because you've been stealing it from the other countries. Really? We've been stealing it. We have lifted more people out of squalor worldwide than any other institution, any other country in the history of the world. There has never been a country like the United States of America, and there never will be. Never. The world will weep when the Western way of life is washed away. It's time to stop ignoring the obvious. It's time to take Obama at his word and judge him by the people whom he associates with. Radicals, Muslim Brotherhood radicals. Barack Obama has always and continues to associate with radicals, always. He's comfortable in their company, but he is not comfortable with anybody from the Tea Party. He is not comfortable with anybody in a tri-corner hat who says, I understand the founders. I like the founders. He is not comfortable with them. But, boy, he is comfortable to have them work in the White House if they're a communist revolutionary. He is comfortable with radicals because he himself is a radical. America, listen to these words once again.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
And this time, our founders have hope for real change.